Benjamin Netanyahu met recently with Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago. That's right. Benjamin Netanyahu stepped foot back into the United States once again. This is someone that is wanted by the ICC, and the fact that he is able to travel across international waters and step foot in another country is very, very problematic. No leader should allow Benjamin Netanyahu to step foot in their country. Not one of them. It's disgraceful, and it's absolutely disgusting that they would even entertain this war criminal. Now, let's get into this meeting that took place. Very disturbing things that were said here. The first one that I want to bring forward, I think you guys need to see this. Donald Trump is already saying that he is entertaining bombing Iran once again. Everyone take a listen to this.
Attack on Iran if Iran will not have a deal. If Iran will continue with their ballistic missiles and also nuclear weapons.
If they will continue with the missiles, yes. The nuclear, fast. Okay. One will be yes, absolutely. The other was, we'll do it immediately.
Mr. President, one of our...
So here is Donald Trump already entertaining bombing Iran once again, as he is standing beside this war criminal, Benjamin Netanyahu. This is Miriam Adelson's money hard at work. And people have to admit and come to terms with the fact that Donald Trump is not anti-establishment. He's very much a part of it. He's a billionaire. They have to come to terms with the fact that this person that some believe was going to be this anti-war president is not anti-war at all. And I think all people had to do was look at his 2016 presidential term to see that he was not anti-war. He was bombing people then. No, he didn't start new wars, but he was still bombing people. So it is still weird to me that people even believed that Donald Trump would be that way. Entertaining bombing Iran again. They are going to continue doing whatever they want to do to make sure that Benjamin Netanyahu stays in power. Now let's get on to this conversation, because it's pretty damning, pretty gross. Let's go ahead and start right about here. They are talking about Hamas. Listen to this part.
Pretty much we agree on most of the things, and you would know what most of those things are. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to know if you and the Prime Minister talked about having Israel pull back its troops before Hamas fully disarms. I know that's been an issue. Did you push for that today?
Well, we talked about Hamas and we talked about disarmament, and they're going to be given a very short period of time to disarm, and we'll see how that works out. Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner will be in charge of that from our side. But if they don't disarm as they agreed to do, they agreed to it, and then they'll be held to pay for them. And we don't want that. We're not looking for that. But they have to disarm within a fairly short period of time.
Why would they disarm when they are occupied? So, and this is where the journalists who are there, they're not going to bring this up. Otherwise, they wouldn't be allowed to be there in the first place. You, as an occupying power, which Israel is, the people who are being occupied have a right to resist by force with arms. So why would they disarm? And all the people who are around them that are occupying them have plenty of arms. It does not make any sense that they would trust. That means that you would trust that Israel would do the right thing. Israel is still killing Palestinians today, but Donald Trump is telling Hamas that they need to disarm. Very disturbing.
Drawing its forces?
Well, that's a separate subject. We'll talk about that.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Mr. President, did you have a message for the Prime Minister about the West Bank? And are you at all concerned that settler violence, Israeli settler violence, could be undermining the peace plan?
Well, we have had a discussion, big discussion for a long time on the West Bank. And I wouldn't say we agree on the West Bank 100%, but we will come to a conclusion on the West Bank.
If I could ask, what is the disagreement?
But notice he's not asking the Israeli settlers to disarm. So that's the big point people need to call out, right? Now he's telling Hamas they need to disarm. He said he has disagreements with Netanyahu about the West Bank. But the reality is, if Netanyahu goes in and tries to annex the West Bank, Donald Trump will let him get away with it, whether he agrees with it or not. So he is asking Hamas to disarm. But notice he is not asking the Israeli settlers who go in and violently steal Palestinians' homes, beat them, beat their goats. We've shown videos of that as well. Steal from them. He's not asking them to disarm. So it's like you can't have it both ways.
Well, I don't want to do that. It'll be announced at an appropriate time. But he will do the right thing. I know that. I know him very well. He will do the right thing. Yes.
There is a growing fear of a confrontation between Israel and Turkey. How are you going to ease this tension given the fact that President Erdogan calls Mr. Netanyahu Hitler and compares Israel to the Nazis?
Well, I know President Erdogan very well. And as you all know, he's a very good friend of mine. And I believe that, and I do respect him, and Bibi respects him. And they're not going to have a problem. They're not going to have a problem. I know him very well. And you've seen me do things with President Erdogan and Turkey that nobody else could have done. We're not going to have a problem. He's done a fantastic job. I'm with him all the way. I'm with Bibi all the way. Nothing's going to happen.
He is with Netanyahu all the way. And if you look at the expression on Benjamin Netanyahu's face here, look at the way that he's looking at Donald Trump, as Donald Trump says, I trust Benjamin Netanyahu. I'm with him all the way. They're not going to have a problem. He has this expression on his face that says, this man is an unbelievable fool to believe that I'm going to listen to anything that he is going to say. And it's laughable at this point in time. To trust Benjamin Netanyahu to maintain peace is absurd. But Donald Trump, again, of course, he's playing to his base. He's trying to play to the journalists there as well. And look, Netanyahu's going to do the right thing when we all know that is not the case at all.
Yes.
Mr. President, are you concerned that Israel is not moving quickly enough to phase 2 of the peace plan?
Well, I'm not concerned about anything that Israel's doing. I'm concerned about what other people are doing or maybe aren't doing. But I'm not concerned. They've lived up to the plan.
And that is the telling sign right there. Donald Trump isn't concerned about anything that Israel is doing, but yet he says they disagree on the West Bank. So that goes to show you that he's not concerned about what they're doing in the West Bank either. And I don't understand why his supporters don't pick up on this. They don't pick up on the BS that comes from Donald Trump. He just says whatever he wants to say and people just believe it. It just, to me, it's just baffling. And I feel as though people have been trained that whatever he says is just golden, just go with it, just believe it. I mean, Donald Trump was basically mentored by infamous mob-connected guy, Roy Cohen, who also had the same mentality that you don't have to apologize for anything. Just say what you're doing is right and people will just buy into it. And that's what Donald Trump does. And his supporters fall for it. But it's all here out in the open.
They're strong, they're solid, and sometimes they don't understand when somebody violates something that you want to give them a second chance. Well, we'll give them a couple of second chances. But no, Israel's lived up to the plan 100%.
So it can't be both things. It can't be somebody violated something, that Israel violated something, but they've lived up to the peace plan. If they violated something, they didn't live up to the peace plan.
Don't forget, we made the plan possible by taking out Iran. And speaking of Iran, I hope they're not trying to build up again, because if they are, we're going to have no choice but very quickly to eradicate that buildup. So I hope Iran is not trying to build up, as I've been reading that they're building up weapons and other things. And if they are, they're not using the sites that we obliterated, but they're using possibly different sites. We know exactly where they're going, what they're doing. And I hope they're not doing it because we don't want to waste the fuel on a B-2. It's a 37-hour trip both ways. I don't want to waste a lot of fuel. Okay?
You don't have the fuel to waste. Benjamin Netanyahu is the terrorist right here. Look at the look on his face. Look how he's smiling. I've got the United States in my back pocket. Benjamin Netanyahu owns Donald Trump. For the people who think that Donald Trump is making any executive decisions when it comes to Israel, no, they own Donald Trump. They owned him the moment. He's always been pro-Israel as long as I can remember, but they owned him the moment that he took that money from Miriam Adelson. And this goes back to his first term, by the way, when he voluntarily decided to move the embassy. These other people are not allowed to have arms. Hamas can't have arms. Iran is not allowed to build up a nuclear weapon, but Israel can have these things. And when Israel has these statements and they say that they are going to obliterate Iran, they want Iran gone and that Iran is the curse. But at the same time, Iran's not allowed to be prepared for that. Now, I don't think any country should have nuclear weapons, but I think it is hypocritical for one in that region to have nuclear weapons and the other that is against them cannot. It is very clear what Donald Trump is setting the stage for here. This peace plan isn't really a peace plan. As I said before, for the Palestinians that are not killed, they will be sent to other countries. That's why you're seeing all this happen with Somaliland, with Israel building this alliance with Somaliland, because they basically want to build a military base there. Somaliland's leader has already said he would consider allowing Palestinians to come there. They're going to expel the rest of them. And then they're going to take that whole Gaza Strip and Donald Trump and Jared Kushner and Benjamin Netanyahu and all the other billionaire buddies, they are going to build that into a Gaza resort that is going to be a playground for the rich. Also, possibly another place where people who are pedos can go to, because we all know that they're very much protected in Israel. That's what this is really about. That's the plan. That's the real plan. Jared Kushner has already created, there's already an outline for it. You can Google it yourself and look it up. I showed it on the show before. There's already an outline for this Gaza plan. And they'll turn it into a smart city full of resorts for rich, wealthy people and criminals.
Mr. President Trump, because your last remarks regarding the pardon request of Prime Minister Netanyahu, Herzog office told us that you have not talked after the official request of Prime Minister Netanyahu pardon. Can you clarify to us, did you talk
Which
about
request
it?
are you talking about?
With the President Herzog, the Israeli President Herzog. Did you talk with him directly?
President Erdogan?
Herzog. The Israeli President
So you're talking
Herzog.
about pardon?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you got to say that. No, I think he's going to be in great shape. He's a wartime prime minister at the highest level. He's achieved tremendous success. And I'll say it, if you had 8 out of 10 prime ministers in his position right now, or before right now, maybe, you wouldn't have Israel any longer. Israel would not exist. I'd say two of them would, and 8 of them wouldn't. Those are not good odds. You needed a very special man to really carry through and really help Israel through this horrible jam. These are major factions, and it started with our negotiation with Iran. I think it probably started with Soleimani. That was really where you mentioned that today, which started with Soleimani. Bad guy, doing bad things, hurting a lot of people, killing American soldiers and other soldiers. But it started right there, would probably be the starting point. And then from that point forward, but you have a wartime prime minister at the highest level. There could be other wartime prime ministers, but they'd lose. He won. And I think the people of Israel appreciate it. I think a lot of the people in the world appreciate it, actually. And because of that victory, we were able to get peace in the Middle East. If you had a different kind of a personality, if you had a weak person or a stupid person, and there are plenty of both of them, you would not have had success, and you might not have Israel. And you report for Israel. I know you're very proud of it, and you do a great job. You might not have a job because there might not be an Israel right now if you had a different prime minister. That's a big statement, but to me, it's a very simple statement to make. I'm looking at Pete Hegseth, and he's sort of nodding. If they don't have a strong prime minister, Pete, you might not have Israel today. I think he'll go down in the record books. And, I was a big help. I'll be honest with you, big help. Somebody said in the room, if you don't have Trump, you needed a proper combination of everything. And if you didn't have that combination, which they had, you would not have an existing Israel right now. And the people of Israel know it. That's why they like me, and it's why they actually like him. He's got a little bit of a love-hate more than I do over there. But you know what? Even the haters have a lot of respect for him. There's a lot of jealousy about him. A lot of jealousy. Jealousy is a bad word. But I believe you would not have Israel right now. So it's a big deal. Yeah.
So he is talking about pardoning Benjamin Netanyahu. Donald Trump wants Benjamin Netanyahu to receive a pardon. The baby killer, the war criminal. Donald Trump, in this entire conversation, did nothing but kiss Netanyahu's ass. Imagine saying that he won. No, he didn't really win. Because after all that bombing over 2 years, it wasn't Israel going in and getting the hostages back, which they claimed this was really about. But as we know, that was not the case. It was the United States coming in to help them get those hostages back. That's really what a lot of this led down to. You didn't win. Israel did not destroy Hamas, which many of us were telling people that early on. So no, they didn't. What they did do is they killed a bunch of women. They killed a bunch of children. They started a genocide of an entire group of people. That's what Israel did. And no, that should not be pardoned. That should not be awarded. People have to come to this conclusion. Like I said, for those of you who believe that Donald Trump was going to be this anti-war person when he was completely bought and paid for by Miriam Adelson and the Israeli lobby, I don't know what to tell you other than you were fooled. In the words of Malcolm X, you were hoodwinked, you were bamboozled. Because Donald Trump was only going to look out for Israel's interests. You don't even hear Donald Trump talking about what to do better to help people, working class people here in the United States. Israel has universal health care. But when you bring that up here in the United States, Donald Trump says, they're radical communists. Is Israel radical communist too? That's how people need to push back on that talking point. They have free university in Israel. We don't have it here. When you bring this up, Donald Trump and his administration says that's radical communism. They don't think it's radical communism for Israel to have it. And you won't hear any of these journalists bring that up. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in that room. Imagine that. Pardoning Benjamin Netanyahu. And it's not just the war crimes. Benjamin Netanyahu still has to deal with crimes in Israel. Not just the war crimes, but all the other corruption that he has. So what you have standing here are two gangsters, two criminals who do whatever they want and get away with it. That's what you have. I'm not even going to call him President Trump. He's a gangster. Same thing with Benjamin Netanyahu. They're gangsters. Donald Trump used to roll back and forth with the gangsters during the construction era in New York City. That's where Roy Cohen comes in. That's who these people are. We'll go on for a little bit more here. I can only take so much of this.
Please.
Mr. President, a recent poll showed that as many as half of Gazans would be willing to leave the Gaza Strip if afforded the opportunity to do so. Back in February, you said that all Gazans could be.
I heard that number today. Half of Gaza would leave. I've always said it. I said if they were given the opportunity to live in a better climate, they would move. They're there because they sort of have to be. I think it would be a great opportunity, but let's see if that opportunity presents itself. But we're helping the people of Gaza a lot. So is Israel, by the way. So we'll see what happens. But I saw that it was a poll. It was actually more than half the people would leave if they were given the opportunity. And I've been saying that for a long time. To me, it was common sense. So it's interesting.
So first of all, I want to know who conducted that poll, because people less likely want to leave their home. For two, that is not what we have heard coming out of Gaza, that the people did not want to leave their home. They don't want to be displaced. We're talking about more displacement. Now, the type of displacement and gentrification that is going to happen in Gaza, by the way, this is a more violent form of displacement and gentrification. That's what you have here. Removing the people physically, brutally, by bombing the hell out of them. There's nothing left there in Gaza. There's nothing there. So they're going to get them out. They're going to rebuild, and they will not allow to be able to return. Does that sound familiar? I made a documentary about displacement right here in the United States. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's on my YouTube channel. We're doing a number of public screenings about this. Also coming into the new year, we just signed up for more public screenings about it. But I've been telling people are forcefully being displaced. Now, what's happening in Gaza, this is a more violent form of that. They are bombing them out. So there's nothing left. There's disease, there's sickness, because they don't have proper sanitation. They don't have, not having clean water. So what do they expect the people to do? So they made the conditions so disgusting to the point that it's uninhabitable. That was intentional. And then they'll take the land and they'll make it into what they want it to be, and they'll enjoy it. So you see, this happens all over the world, ladies and gentlemen. When I talked about this in my documentary about what happened right here in Boston, Massachusetts with Black residents, this type of it happens all over the world where people are forcefully removed. Now, here's the other part, because I want to get to this part here about the Christians. Listen to what they said here about Christians are under attack.
Not only the Jews, but other minorities, especially the Christians, should be protected as well in Syria and throughout the Middle East and in Nigeria. In your efforts, we back completely, because Christian communities are beleaguered around the world, and especially in the Middle East, but in parts of Africa too. And we stand for the same thing.
And don't forget, it was President Erdogan that helped very much get rid of a very bad ruler of Syria. That was President Erdogan. And he never wanted the credit for it, but he really gets a lot of credit. Bibi agrees with that. I agree with, I mean, I know it. And President Erdogan should get a lot of good credit for what he did. He got rid of some very bad people. And
not only the Jews, but other.
So this is not really about the Christian people. They are going to use them at their disposal. The idea is that you would serve Israel. So this whole idea about coming in and liberating the people, they're not liberating the people. They're just making you serve them. That's why you saw all those people in Somaliland running around waving the Israel flag. It's already starting. And that comes from years of indoctrination. They're going to be bowing to the head of Israel. They're going to be serving Israel. Benjamin Netanyahu doesn't care about Christians. Does he care about the Christians that were killed in the church bombings in Israel? Israel bombed Christian churches when people were still inside. What about those Christians? What about the Christians that are killed in Syria under the new leadership of Jolani, which Donald Trump and Joe Biden worked together on this apparently to install? What about those Christians being killed in Syria? And these so-called Christians that they say are killed in Somaliland, there's more Muslims being killed in Somaliland than Christians. And if Donald Trump cares so much about those Christians, why didn't Donald Trump offer all those Christians that are being killed in the Middle East and in Africa? Why didn't he offer them some type of refuge here in the United States the same way he did the white Afrikaners? This is why I say you have to use your brain. Think about this for a second. He allowed the white Afrikaners to come into the United States, fast track their visa, and said white people were being genocided in South Africa, the farmers. He allowed them to come here just like that. Do you see Donald Trump allowing any of these other Christians refuge in the United States? No, you don't. It's a game. Donald Trump is a con artist. He's been able to fool a lot of people. And I think some people just don't want to admit they got played. Here it is now. You'll see the phone call here. They are offering Donald Trump an award. Listen to this.
You're talking to President Trump. Could you tell him what I think you're going to tell him? What? Go ahead.
Yes, dear President Donald Trump, it's my great and distinct honor to inform you that the Israeli Prize Committee, following Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's recommendation, has reached a historic decision to award you the Israel Prize in the category Special Contribution to the Jewish People. This marks the first time since the establishment of the State of Israel that the Israel Prize is awarded to a non-Israeli citizen. This category created to recognize individuals whose actions have left an exceptional and enduring impact on the Jewish people in Israel and throughout the world. The committee noted your significant and consistent efforts on behalf of the Jewish people and the State of Israel. Among your many contributions are your commitment to fight and actions against anti-Semitism, your dedicated efforts to advance the return of Israeli hostages safely to their families, your formal recognition of Jerusalem as the capital of Israel and the relocation of the United States Embassy, your recognition of Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights, and your unwavering support for Israel's right to defend itself, including during a period in which Israel confronted 7 active fronts and faced, together with Prime Minister Netanyahu, the critical challenge posed by Iran's nuclear ambitions.
You forgot the B2s. Add it.
Well, Mr. Minister, thank you very much. It's a great honor. It's really amazing to be the first one outside of Israel is really something. And I look forward to meeting you. And again, thank you very much.
This table full of Europeans claiming they're indigenous to the land. It's a joke at this point. It's an absolute joke. Like I said, Christians have been fooled for years. This has been one of the biggest psyops, I say. Chris said here, Israeli education minister Kish tells Trump over the phone that he's being awarded the Israel Prize for his commitment to fight actions against anti-Semitism. Like this is just, it's ridiculous at this point in time. Table full of Europeans and Marco Rubio there is a puppet. The other clown. This is what we got here, folks. This is the reality, okay? Donald Trump took over $230 million from the Israeli lobby. Over $230 million. This is what you voted for if you voted for Donald Trump. Now, no shade, but I said this 2024, Kamala Harris also took money from the Israeli lobby. I screamed at the top of the rooftops. You know, I didn't have as large of a following at that time. But I screamed to the top of the rooftops, we cannot vote for either one of these people. All of these things that are in place. Don't forget, Kamala is very pro-Israel too. So when people ask, would she have done things a little bit differently, yada, yada, at the end of the day, she was still going to support Israel. She made that claim herself. Like, it's not me what I think would have happened. It's what she said was going to happen when she said she would not withhold weapons from Israel. So going into 2028, and I cannot stress this enough, because I don't want people to come back to me 2028 and say, no, Sabby, we got to vote for this one because, you know, they're going to do the least harm and we can't get that one and we can't get this one. Going into 2028, people need to make a conscious decision not to support any candidate that is taking money from the Israeli lobby, AIPAC, Kufi. That also includes J Street. for the progressives, for the liberals who don't want to acknowledge that J Street is also just as problematic. And we have to be careful because AIPAC, as I reported, they're already trying to find little loopholes to get money to people and not have it under their name. They're going through other channels. But that's why you have people like me and other independent media commentators that are here to break that down for you. So come 2028, I don't want to hear anybody come to me like they did in 2024 and say, well, we got to support this one or we got to support that one. There were people that were saying, well, Trump is the one who will end the wars. There were people that were saying, well, Kamala will be much better on Israel and Gaza and da-da-da-da. And at the end of the day, they're both bought and paid for. Bought and paid for. So come 2028, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear if someone's independent, if someone's third party. I do not want to hear it. Any candidate that is taking money from the Israeli lobby should not be voted for, period. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.